Okay, we are now recording. So yes, we have the chat box open. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And we're hoping to wrap this up, and it'll be less than an hour for sure. We're going to go through just an update on the wasted food prevention program. I'll do that, and then John will take over and do the update on the organics program, and then we'll have a last bit about backyard composting. Hopefully you can, if you somehow can't hear us or can't see their screen, please let us know, because I will not know that. Okay, let's get started. Preventing wasted food. We're going to just talk about lots changed in the last year or two since many of you have taken the class, and I wanted to share what we do now. As a reminder why we care about preventing the wasted food and not just composting it, about 40% of all of our food goes uneaten in the US, which is pretty dramatic. That's not just a waste of the landfill, but we also spend 19% of all of our land growing food that we don't eat, and 20% of all of our fresh water going to food we don't eat. That being said, that environmental cost is nothing in comparison to also feeding hungry people. So 1 in 6 kids is at risk of hunger in just Minnesota. So we're growing lots of food, but we're not getting it to the right places, and we're wasting a lot of resources to grow it. What we're doing at Dakota County is, first, we're going to talk about residential education. We are concentrated on residents because although it might seem like restaurants and cafeterias might waste a lot of food, and they do waste some, homes added up across the US waste the most food in proportion to all of the others. What we're doing is, the last 2 years or so, we've been doing in-person education. So presentations, movie showings of like Just Eat It. We have screening rights to that movie. Booths, many of you have helped us at booths. And besides that, we've done an awareness building. So we've just, the indirect, the stuff that we want people to see, but we might not be directly interacting with them. Articles, social media, websites, all of that stuff that we can't track as well, but we're hoping the message is getting out there to raise awareness. We know from your class, that awareness doesn't drive behavior. We want to get the tools out there for people to actually change their behavior. And a few of those tools that we're getting out there is, one, the Food Waste Challenge. This was started by our Green Corps member 2 years ago when she did a pilot. That's Cassandra, who now works for the cities of West St. Paul, South St. Paul, and Mendota Heights. She did the first Food Waste Challenge, and now we're doing it more frequently. We've just finished one up, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And we're starting one in June. So yeah, I'll go over that in a second. Training programs we've also tried out, working with Cooking Matters, which is actually a nutrition-based program that the Extension Office provides to low-income people. You don't have to be low-income, but a lot of their funding is geared towards low-income people. And that's really like a 6-week course all about learning how to cook, how to read nutrition labels, all that stuff. That's the picture on the slide here, where a cook actually comes in and does, like, you practice cooking a recipe every week, and you get a little nutritional component of that class. We partnered with the Extension Office, and each class we were a part of had a wasted food focus as well. So how to read expiration dates, storage, get your fridge in the right temperature, all that stuff to have people have more control over their food. And then, of course, we boosted up our education in our Master Recycler program. When we first started 5 years ago, I think we talked a little bit about food recovery and donation, but we didn't really know as much as we do now. And that's why now all Master Recyclers get at least an hour of talking about preventing wasted food. Here's one of the fun things that we're doing now for the Food Waste Challenge. So that is Mackenzie there in the picture. We are targeting communities, being a little more strategic about our challenge, Food Waste Challenge. And the reason is we know anecdotally and based on some national research now, when people have easy access to composting programs, drop-off, curbside, even their backyard compost, it's kind of a guilt reliever for wasting the food. It's just like recycling, where if you can recycle something, you don't care as much about preventing that waste. Like, oh, I'll buy this case of bottled water, at least I'll recycle everything. Well, same with food. Oh, well, I didn't eat all of my leftovers this week, but I'm composting, so it's okay. Well, we know from the previous slides that most of our impact of food is in the production and transportation of it, not necessarily the disposal of it. So then I'm partnering with John, who you'll hear about in a second, and as John is going into the community and opening up these new drop sites, I get ahead of him for about 3 months and focus my efforts on preventing that food waste. And then they'll have an easy access for composting it later. Here's a timeline as an example. John will talk about the new site that's opening May 1st in Rosemont. I then went into Rosemont and Apple Valley, just to broaden it. I started in January to recruit people for the 4-week food waste challenge and did some more basic education too in the community. So not just the challenge. And so I focus my energies while John's working behind the scenes to start opening that site. And then as he's opening up, I move on to the next community. So now he's focusing his efforts in Rosemont to recruit people for the new sites. I moved on now to Lakeville and Farmington starting in April and May. That will be the next site, so spoiler. I stole John's thunder. But that's why I am now going to focus on Lakeville and Farmington, because that will be the next site. The challenge itself is pretty easy. You sign up online, 3 questions. You go to a training, either virtually like this or in person. You weigh your wasted food for 4 weeks. So similar to what we've done in the most recent Master Recycler classes, we don't want you to I shouldn't say actually, we changed from weighing to volume based. So you fill this bucket up, that's in the picture here, you fill it up every week with the food that you should have eaten but didn't. So not the bones, the banana peels, the stuff that you should have eaten, the spoiled stuff. We're also doing liquids as well. And then you report your weekly totals of volume in a simple form. And I'm just going to show you what it looks like so that you're more familiar with it. And I think I have to share this screen now. So I'm going to, can you see this? Can you see the screen that says food waste challenge recording?
We cannot.
Okay, thank you. That's what I figured. All right. I'm going to stop sharing and then reshare. Hold on, guys. Should have opened it before. Okay. I know you're on the edge of your seat. Sharing. No, that's not it. Okay, sharing. Food waste challenge. Okay. Ta-da! Okay, can you see that now?
Yes.
Hooray. Okay, so it's a name, pick the week that you're reporting on, the total volumes of that bucket for that week, and you can fill it up multiple times. The total volumes of liquids, like milk or juice, not pop or coffee. What types of foods did you collect? Why did they go to bad this week or go to waste? And then any comments. And each week we kind of ask a different question in the comments, like, what are your suggestions on getting kids to eat their food? Or what have you learned for food storage or inventory? We do, as this is, every week they're supposed to fill this out, and I share then the results each week.
Jenny, I have a question.
Yes.
This is Adam. If you scroll up on your screen back to the liquids.
Yes.
You said you wouldn't measure pop or coffee. Why not?
Well, good question. So milk or juice, I figured, is more resource intensive. Pop is actually, barely a food, if anything. So it's water intensive and some corn syrup. So some resources, but milk and juice are by far more resource intensive. Coffee is a little different. Coffee is resource intensive, but it's harder to kind of pinpoint the resources because it does take so much time to get here and the growing of it, and you're using the grounds of the coffee to make your coffee, or grounds of the coffee grounds to make your coffee. That's kind of the theory.
All right, thanks.
Yes. When we did it before for the first Green Corps Food Waste Challenge back in 2015, we did all liquids, and it was kind of crazy. So we wanted to really focus it down to a few major liquids. Thanks for the question. All right, I'm going to go back to the presentation. Hopefully. Oh, did I add it? Sure. All right, there we go. Okay. There we go. Oh, now I have to start over. Okay. So that's the Food Waste Challenge. So we'll be starting to recruit in May, or late April, and then all through May. The challenge is from June 2nd through the 29th. So all of June. We've never done one in the summer, so I'm hoping that we get some people and not everyone's on vacation. But it was really successful. The first challenge we did, we started recruiting in January, and then we had about 80 people signed up. But then when we had our trainings, and when you were supposed to pick up all the buckets and materials, because you get a packet of materials, that was the polar vortex week. So no one wanted to leave their homes. And by the time they did, they felt bad. They didn't want to pick up their stuff because they were late. So we ended up with 30 people total that went through the whole challenge, the whole 4 weeks. Based on their numbers, they loved it, going through it, and they got some great tips and started using some different tools. They reduced their waste about 2 pounds from week 1 to week 4, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's 2 pounds per household. So that's 30 households times 2 for just a month. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up. Just like each of our homes wasting food, a little bit of food adds up. And we will be doing a follow-up 3-month check-in with them and a 6-month to see if they're still using the tools that we gave them.
Questions went away.
Oh, my questions went away. Yes, thank you, John. Just checking if you have any questions. You do not. Okay. Moving on, so that was our residential focus. We'll be doing that this year. For business focus, we're starting to work with Second Harvest Heartland, which is one of the big time food donation food banks. Really, they give food to a lot of the food shelves. Their biggest barrier is really having money to then hire drivers and trucks to get the food. They have enough outlets to go pick up food from businesses, but they need an extra truck and a driver. So we're looking at solutions to then give them funding to just be able to pick up more food. And we're looking at that with some of the smaller food shelves as well. And because we know that we're not inventing anything. This has been going on, and usually food waste is focused on, or food recovery and donation is focused on feeding hungry people, which is great. We both benefit of feeding people and not throwing food away. So we just really want to give our money to people, organizations that are already doing it, they already figured it out. So why reinvent the wheel, really? We're also focusing our business recycling program, which is normal. We've always focused on, setting up your organics and recycling, improving it, and giving you money for that. Well, now we actually have in our business program where you can buy software, such as one called Lean Path, which actually tracks your wasted food in like a kitchen or a cafeteria over a period of time, usually like 3 months, and kind of equates that into, this is how much money and labor and waste you have and how you could do better. No one's taken us up on it yet, but we've been hearing positive results from Hennepin County, who has implemented it in several of their businesses. So hopefully.
Jenny, what was the name of that software?
LeanPath, LeanPath.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I see, Sandy, you raised your hand. I don't know what that means, but if you have a question, type it or take yourself off mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, actually, Adam asked my question. I work for Blue Cross, and we use your program. I think it's working wonderfully, and I'd like to let them know about the Lean Path. So I just wanted you to spell it.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, Sandra.
Yep, thank you.
Yes, and anyone else who could use that at your work. We would love that. Here's some fun stuff. We have a new Green Corps, Hannah, which some of you might have interacted with already. She is halfway through her project right now, and her focus is working with schools. And schools are a major food waster. We've had different perceived barriers and actual barriers of requiring kids to take certain items so that they can get the school can get federal reimbursements. Or, small kids have to take the same portion as older kids. It's amazing how much food we waste in cafeterias. So her whole project is working with schools, and she's working with 3 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school on figuring this out. The great thing is that there's been best management practices. That's what BMPs are. There's been best management practices around for a few years or 5 years nationally, but we've just never tried it in Dakota County. So Hannah's whole mission was to not necessarily create the BMPs, but to try them out and to test them. So first, though, you have to get a baseline of what the school's doing, and that's called a tray audit. And this is a little different than a waste sort, which we've heard a lot about. This is, if you can see the picture, buckets lined up, and kids come to us with their trays if they have leftovers on their tray. And then each bucket is a different part of their lunch, like grilled cheese sandwich, the soup, the watermelon. They all go into a different bucket, and then we weigh each bucket to see how much we had total. And then she takes that information and says, oh, your school wasted the most of these entrees and all the milk, because we did milk too. Great thing too is, as here are the kids, and you can see what's left on their tray. Like that's pretty, she took 2 bites out of her pizza, and that was pretty common. And there's some carrots, but we also surveyed them. So Hannah was in charge of making a survey and asking them, why didn't you finish your food? And it's kind of funny because no one has ever asked a kid why they didn't finish their food unless they're in trouble. So kids were very like, am I in trouble? Do I not get to go back to class? Do I need to get recess? So it's kind of funny to ask them in a positive way, like, no, you're fine. Just let us know. Did it taste bad? Did you not have enough time? And it's really hard to not lead them to answers either. Like we can't put thoughts in their head. The majority of them said, I didn't have enough time or I was full. Those are the major things. So we did all these tray audits and surveys, and then Hannah came up with recommendations to implement for each school. So now we're in the implementation stage where, for instance, putting a share table in each school. This is our new share table, which is brand new, and I'm very excited about it. If the cafeterias had a share table, it was like this small area of a cart. The cart was dented, or it could be like just a chair that you're supposed to know that that's a share table. So this is a way for students to put unopened, uneaten things back on this tray or this cart, and then other kids can take that food, or it can go back into to resell for the cafeteria. They have to sanitize it and resell it. So we're trying out those things right now, and then we'll go back to the same schools and hopefully the same lunches and do those audits again to see how well we changed. Pretty exciting stuff. That gets me to how you can help. So Master Recyclers, love you, and you've been so helpful already. School tray audits, Hannah would love your help. We've already had a lot of help. You can see that's some Master Recyclers we had at, that's Garlow Elementary School. We would love your help. There is a online sign up on the website, where you normally go for your current MRC calendar on our Dakota County website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to dakotacounty.us, search current MRC or current Master Recycler, and all of the upcoming opportunities are there, including Hannah's tray audits. Very cool and fun and adorable because the kids are there. I need your help on recruiting for the upcoming challenge, the Food Waste Challenge. I'll have some booths coming up at libraries, community events. I would love that. And if you just live in the area, you can sign up, plus get your friends, family, neighbors to sign up. We're focusing in Lakeville and Farmington, but you can also, anyone can sign up. If you, like Sandra was talking about her workplace, and I know Adam, you might be interested too, if your workplace wants to try out some of these food waste prevention tools, we can work with you too. Renee is in charge of that program, the business program. We'll have some general educational booths opportunities coming up. You staff a booth, you talk about reducing wasted food. We have all the tools you need and giveaways. Or if you work with a church or a neighborhood or at work, schedule a presentation and I can come give that presentation to whatever audience you have. And with that, I will turn it over to John. Any questions on prevention right now? Okay.
Thank you very much, Jenny. That was quite interesting. And if any of you have questions for Jenny, feel free to speak up during my talk or write a note on the group chat. I won't be offended by any means.
I just wanted to say, this is Alicia Ba. Before you start, I just wanted to say, Jenny, I don't have any questions, but I just think this is great. There's new things that have started since we became master recyclers, and it's just great to see. Just very encouraging. So thank you.
Awesome, Alicia. Thanks for saying that. Thanks for being here to listen too.
Yeah.
So as Jenny indicated, my name is John, and I work with in the Environmental Resources Department. And some of you listening may already be participating in the Organics Drop-Off program, and that's great. I'm going to give a few updates tonight and just kind of give you a rundown on the county's current situation with our organics drop sites. So one of the biggest questions we receive is, why are we doing this? Why are we focusing on organics? Why are we collecting it, and why does it matter? And I guess my response is for a lot of reasons. Nearly a third of what's in the trash is organics. The chart on the right, on my right anyway, was taken from a 2014 study that the MTCA did called the Waste Composition Study, and they identified that nearly a third of what's in the trash is organic material. Recycling organics keeps this massive amount of material out of landfills, and this affects us on a local level. The county board has, one of the county board's goals is to create a healthy environment with quality natural areas. Organics recycling helps keep organics out of the trash and puts them to use by making compost, a valuable soil amendment. On a regional level, Dakota County is accountable to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency with our solid waste master plan, which was recently approved by the county board last fall. Minnesota state law requires all metro counties, there's seven metro counties, to develop plans and implement programs that will increase our combined recycling rate, so both our traditional recycling and organic material combined, that's how they factor in that recycling rate, to a 75% by weight goal by the year 2030. And currently the county historically has always been right around 48, 49, 50%. Now I've seen some early numbers this year, and it looks like we have increased right around 4 or 5 percentage points up to around 54, 55%, which was fantastic. And I think a lot of that can be attributed to all the different programming the county is doing. Your assistance as master recyclers, getting out in the public, it's just become a lot more aware. And so we have 10 years theoretically to get to that goal of 75%. And with the rates that we've seen incrementally, we hope and we think we can do that. So that's the regional level. And on a global scale, organics material, when they're buried in a landfill, undergo anaerobic decomposition, which produces methane, whereas a compost pile undergoes what's called aerobic decomposition, which requires oxygen for the process to work. Because it's exposed to oxygen, compost piles produce carbon dioxide instead of methane. And interestingly, the one interesting stat that really kind of, I've known this stat for some time, but it still sticks with me. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, pound for pound, the comparative impact of methane emissions is more than 25 times greater than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period. So landfilling organics materials, it goes into a landfill that's not getting any oxygen, that stuff slowly breaks down, creating methane, whereas at a compost facility, it breaks down and creates carbon dioxide, which is, it's still a greenhouse gas, but as the EPA has found, it's 25 times less or effective at trapping that heat in the atmosphere.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can you state the pound for pound statistic again?
Yeah, pound for pound, and this is quoted on the EPA's website. Pound for pound, the comparative impact of methane emissions is more than 25 times greater than carbon dioxide over a 100-year period.
Thank you.
Sure. So what is organics recycling? And I think a lot of you have a pretty good foundation of what it is, but for those that may not be aware of the organics recycling program that the county provides, organics recycling is simply, in our case, the collection of food scraps and non-recyclable paper. Basically, when you filled your organic bag, as you can see on the little image on the right, you bring it to one of the county's compost drop-off facilities. These materials that are collected at the drop-off sites are brought to a commercial compost facility. And composting is simply the process where the organic matter is broken down by natural bacteria and microbes and turned into compost. And compost is a rich black soil full of nutrients and great for plant growth. When we then use the compost in our gardens, farmers' fields to grow new plants, there's other uses for compost too, but the full circle feel is reusing that compost in gardens, in vegetable farm fields, any type of field for that matter, which we then consume the product, collect the organics in our kitchens, and the process starts all over again. So it's eternally rotating a complete circle when you participate in an organics drop program. So sorry about the delay, but what's all accepted? There's a lot of different items that you might not expect to be accepted. And if organics and organics recycling are new terms for you, you're not alone. Organics is anything that was once alive, all food, non-recyclable paper like tissues and paper towels, certified compostable products that have been certified by the Biodegradable Products Institute, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute, and other compostable materials like egg cartons and toilet paper rolls or paper towel rolls, that low-grade paper. As you can see on the bottom right, the egg carton and the toilet tissue rolls are both compostable, and so that's an easy thing to keep out of the landfill. Other things, pet and human hair is accepted. And one thing that I do get this question quite often is, does the food have to be, you go to a grocery store and you'll see that there's different grades of food. Some is classified as organic food. To participate in a drop program or to compost food, it does not have to be USDA certified organic food. It could be any food waste. And when I say any, I mean any type of food waste. Some images up there, just some vegetables, cheeses, meats, bones, anything that is consumed by any type of food product can be composted. So just keep that in mind. And this is kind of off script, but the one nice thing about the drop-off facilities is the materials brought to a commercial compost facility. Those piles, those aerated piles at the compost facility, heat up and have the ability to break down tougher cuts of meat through bones, dairy, things that wouldn't be ideal in a backyard composting bin. So what about compostable products? I think there's one thing I deal with this type of stuff every day, and compostable products still confuse me sometimes or trick me sometimes. there's a little bit of knowledge to be had with it. But just a quick rundown: biodegradable and compostable are terms used when describing organic materials breaking down in a specific environment. And both of those terms you'll probably hear quite often in your day-to-day lives are used when defining environmentally friendly products. However, the terms bio or oxydegradable are very often misused in marketing and advertising of products that are not actually environmentally friendly and will not completely break down at a compost facility, or in your backyard for that matter, for those that do some backyard composting. Although these statements are regarded as beneficial by the manufacturer who's trying to sell the products, concerns have been raised, and you've probably heard a lot about microplastics. But those plastics may be ingested once they break down, or if they go to a compost facility, those paper products, the microbes and the bacteria will eat away the paper, but the plastic lining might stick and not break down. Well, that can get into compost, which in turn gets into people's yards or gardens, and it can also run off into surface water. So whenever, I guess my next slide will tell you. So if you're ever using compostable serviceware, please ensure that the products have been certified by the Biodegradable Products Institute, often referred to shortly as BPI. If you hear BPI, if you know a product's BPI certified, it's fully compostable.
John, I have a question.
Yes.
On your previous slide, near the degradable bag that was showing there, there's parentheses around OXO. What does that mean?
OXO, that's a new term to me. It's similar to bio. You've heard biodegradable. There's also oxydegradable, and it's two different terms of breaking down plastic. And I believe the oxydegradable is that it breaks down with the presence of oxygen, whereas bio breaks down. I guess, Adam, I'm not 100% sure on the two differences. I did a quick little bit of research on that before this presentation, and from what I could tell was the oxydegradable breaks down in the presence of oxygen, or only breaks down with the presence of oxygen.
Okay.
What's that?
I said, okay, thanks.
Okay. So if you're using compostable serviceware, please ensure the products have been certified by the Biodegradable Products Institute, and again, we call that the BPI. BPI is an independent third-party testing firm that certifies whether a product completely decomposes in a composting setting within a specific time frame and leaves no residue behind. And when I say residue, I'm mainly talking about plastic particles. So look for the BPI logo on where you saw where I checked there. It says BPI certified compostable. Up in the upper left, that's kind of what the logo looks like. You'll see it in a couple different fashions. One is that it'll say Compostable Biodegradable Products Institute, U.S. Composting Council, and then right to the right of it, you'll see the shorthand where it just says BPI, but that logo needs to be on the product. And like that coffee or that soup cup there where I have the check mark, that's a product where the label is located right on it, along with the bio bag, which is a BPI certified product. However, when you get down in the bottom right where I have that those bags of world-centric cups, those cups aren't going to have the logo on it, but the packaging on the outside does. So where I have the check mark in the bottom right corner, just below that, there's the logo that you would see where it says BPI certified compostable. And Chinette's another brand of plates that are in a lot of grocery stores around town, and their compostable language is right on their packaging. Some good brands that I've had luck with, just personally and here at work, are the Chinette, World-Centric, Eco Products, and Bio Bags are all vetted BPI certified products. And if you're ever in need of that type of stuff, we can help you find it, or locate it, or inform you where it's at. Again, please be aware of manufacturer claims that their product is considered bio-based or plant-based. If using paper serviceware, please ensure it's BPI certified. And anecdotally, I actually purchased some plates off of Amazon last summer that stated they were BPI certified on the website. I took the website's word for it. When I received the product, the plates, they felt rubbery and the packaging did not contain the BPI logo. I did a little more research and discovered that they were not BPI certified. It was a false statement that the manufacturer had listed on their Amazon page. I reported the false claim to Amazon and ended up receiving a full refund from the distributor, and the manufacturer sent me an apology and said that the plates had previously been certified, but they hadn't re-upped their certification. Whether I believe them or not, I don't know, but at the time when I bought them, they weren't certified BPI. I requested and received a refund. So just as someone that I deal with this stuff often, and to get duped like that, I was a little bit embarrassed, but it happens to everyone. And you know, if you're ever unsure, just let someone at the county know. We'd be happy to help. And I get a kick out of looking that stuff up and doing the research on it. So I guess bottom line is be aware of the statements without the BPI that state that they're biodegradable, made from plants, or compostable. The only way to really know is if they're been certified and tested by that independent Biodegradable Products Institute. So the fun stuff.
Any question about compostable products? We get a ton of questions about that, so I want to open that up.
And if you don't have any now, feel free to reach out. All of my contact information will be at the end of this, and you all know how to get a hold of Jenny. And like I said, I enjoy doing that research, so don't hesitate to ask. But moving on, so as many of you know, Dakota County currently provides 2 organics drop-off locations. One's at Thompson County Park up in West St. Paul. That'd be on the top of the screen. The other is at Lebanon Hills Regional Park in the Holland Lake Trailhead area, which is in Egan. Both of those sites have enclosures that have a locked door. On the photo on the left, there's a participant entering in the access code. And we do provide free compostable bags at these sites. So you go into the enclosure, you drop off your bags of organics, and then you grab a couple of compostable bags on your way out and start the process again over. And we're excited to announce on May 1st that the county and the mulch store are partnering to provide a 3rd drop-off location to all county residents. The mulch store, which is a commercial compost facility, and actually where the materials from the West St. Paul or the Thompson Park and the Lebanon Hills Park sites get delivered to the mulch store. That's where they're actually composted at. The mulch store is located in Empire Township in between Rosemount and Coates. It not only accepts the organics from our 2 drop sites, but they also accept organics that are generated all over the metropolitan area and maybe in southeast Minnesota to some degree, where people are bringing it up to that facility. So it's a pretty interesting facility. Even if you are participating in the program and live closer to West St. Paul or Egan, I encourage you to check out the mulch store setup once it gets up and running on May 1st. This location is only available. There's some limitations. It doesn't have the 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. Self-serve type of situation. It's an actual facility where they're allowing residents to come in between 7:30 and 4:30 during the week, and then on Saturdays they're going to be open from 8 to noon, but it is seasonal. This year they just came out with their hours the other day. They're going to be open from April 20th, so this Saturday, through the end of June from 8 to noon on those Saturday hours, and then again in the fall, in September, October, and part of November, they'll again provide the Saturday hours. So we like to call this one more of a limited use spot, but we're going to provide free compost bags there as well. So, and then the other one where Jenny kind of stole a little bit of my thunder, but not really. We're in discussions. We're real close to entering into agreement with the city of Lakeville to provide a full service similar to the facilities in our parks at the Lakeville Water Treatment Facility. And if you're familiar with Lakeville, that green or that yellow dot that we just put up on the screen, that's the approximate location of where the Lakeville site is going to be. And our target date to open that site up is August 1st. We have to go through, get a couple of approvals, and then we wanted to do the food waste challenge in advance of it. So we thought that August would be a good date to get all the approvals, do the food waste challenge, and then send out our recruitment packets and invite people to start at that new one in Lakeville. So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have 4 opportunities. And then we have started discussing a little bit with the city of Hastings. They're probably about a year, six months to a year behind the Lakeville site. So we're trying to lay them out strategically based on population densities, and then also where we've already had sites. We're trying to get them more spread out about the county. So by the end of this year, we hope to have 4, and by the end of middle next year of 2020, being over on the east portion of the county. So how to participate, for those of you that don't know, we ask that you sign up either online. We've created a new online sign-up tool, which makes it really slick for the user and for staff to get your name and mailing address, and then we mail out a welcome kit. So you can sign up online via email or call the county's number. Once you're registered, I mail out a welcome kit that includes an informational brochure, a container label, and then we send a couple of compostable bags in the welcome kit, which gets you started. And then after you make your first trip to one of the drop sites, the free bags, as I mentioned, are provided there as well. So you register, you start collecting your organics, you drop them off, and you start the process over again. It's quite simple. Right now, I want to say we have about 2,600 households participating in the program, and I expect that number to grow once we start publicly announcing the Lakeville site and start recruiting for that drop site. The mulch store, actually, we just sent out the recruitment kit last week, and I have 110 people that signed up for that in the first week. So I'm pretty excited about that. Really excited, actually. I just think that's a neat partnership with the mulch store. They came to us and asked if we'd be interested in doing some sort of partnership. So we're glad to work that out. How can you help as a master recycler or composter? If feasible, if you live within a decent distance to one of our current drop sites or new drop sites that'll be coming up, actively participate in the program. Collect your food scraps and take advantage of it. And one nice thing about the county providing this space for your organic food waste, if you start collecting it, I think you'll realize that most of your waste is organic material, and you could possibly reduce the trash container size at your own home, which in return would reduce your monthly costs, not only in service, but also in taxes. You don't get taxed for disposing of recyclables or organics, but they tax the residential tax rate for trash is 9.75% in the state of Minnesota. It's 17% for commercial entities. So the tax is trashed quite heavily in the state of Minnesota, but recycling and organics is exempt from that tax. Other things you can do is attend the I'm going to be doing a couple of upcoming training sessions in Rosemount and Lakeville. So if you want to, I'm going to cover a lot of the information I covered tonight, but it'll probably go into a little bit more in depth. There's opportunities where, Gary, I'll get to your question in 1 second. It's a great question, but when we do the training sessions, I often need help setting up and taking names of the attendees, and so that's one thing that you can do to get some of your volunteer hours. In August, when we start the Lakeville site, we'll do a kickoff event, and I might have several master recyclers help me with that, and maybe make it a few-hour event. And I know when we did the Lebanon Hills kickoff, we did it on a Saturday morning. We provided coffee and hot chocolate. We used compostable cups, and it was just a real fun event, and a lot of people stopped by to say hi and check it out. And then the biggest thing that we probably could ask you to do is help spread the word to your family, friends, and neighbors. So those are some different things that you can get to. Gary, your question on churches, I get that question. I've gotten that question quite a bit, and these sites are strictly for residential use only. If we started, and it basically boils down to, not that we're trying to exclude anyone, but our sites are short on space and dumpster capacity. I know this winter there was a few times when the hauler couldn't get to the sites because of the weather and the roads, and so our sites were overflowing. As far as churches, there's a lot of churches, so if we opened up the door to churches, I feel that we would be overwhelmed. But as Jenny mentioned earlier, the business recycling program does have some incentives, and I believe churches are eligible for that, where you can have the organics actually picked up at your church once a week. So if Gary, one thing you can do is you can email me, and I can put you in touch with our business program coordinator, and she would be able to give you some information on some funding initiatives that churches and other entities, any businesses could look into.
Can he take it to the mulch store?
Yeah, you can certainly deliver it. Well, not as, yes, you could take it there. Depending on your volume, Gary, they may charge you for that load. It's like I said, the portion at the mulch store that's going to be available for residents is going to be probably like a 90-gallon cart, maybe 2 of them that you would see in your driveway. So it's not going to be a very big area. And the reason they're doing that is that way their staff can wheel the organics right onto their scale and into the windrows. So if your church produces very little, like a bag or 2, just do it. Don't even just do it. If you're starting to have to bring a pickup truck or a big load, then we'd ask that you treat it as a business waste. So there's a couple more questions on here. So that
Kate just said, I'm composting now and it's easy. We hardly have any trash anymore. We like the OXO brand bin to keep on our countertop. No smells, no fruit flies.
thank you.
Sandra said, I like to keep my food scraps in the refrigerator and freezer. Keeps my condo very clean. I agree. Great.
No, and that's one thing I do recommend is, or I tell a lot of people, keep it in your, I do a little bit at my own house and I'll keep it in my refrigerator as well. And then I keep my paper towels and my napkins, I keep those in a paper bag. So it's pretty, once you get a little system, it's very slick.
And like Kay said here, when the outside is a refrigerator, like in the winter, you can easily store your food waste for a longer time outside.
In your garage.
Gary, I will definitely give John your email.
Perfect. So, and Gary, you might want to take my email down. If you want to email me at organics@co.dakota.mn.us, that comes directly to me, and I can respond to any questions on that email. If you're just curious about the organics program, you can go on the county's website, www.dakotacounty.us, search organics recycling. If any of you are interested in attending the upcoming trainings, I actually do have a couple MRCs that are helping me out at both those events, so I don't need assistance now, but you can certainly come and enjoy the show, as I'll say. One's going to be April 29th, the other one's May 1st at Robert Trail Library. They both begin at 6:30. And again, it's going to be a lot of the information we're discussing tonight, maybe a little bit more detail on what's acceptable and what's not. And if you would rather call me, you can certainly call me at 952-891-7112. That's my direct line. So with that, I'm going to send it back to Jenny. She's got a little tip on home composting.
Great. And Charlotte also said, I've been composting and I've educated my hiking club about it. We've made 3 events, 0 waste now. Wonderful, Charlotte. Great job. So last slide here, home composting. I just wanted to update you on some other opportunities. Home composting is great because you're reducing that transportation to a drop-off site, and it's right in your home, and you get to use the compost. This was in our.
Sorry, Jenny.
This was in our. I mentioned the RAM compost bin sale. RAM stands for Recycling Association of Minnesota, and they have an annual compost bin and rain barrel sale every year, every spring. And Dakota County, again this year, is giving a discount to Dakota County residents if you enter the word Dakota in the promo code area. Now, sadly, the RAM sale, it's not sad that they're having a sale. They do it by ordering them online, and then you pick what event that you're going to pick up your new bin, and none of those pickup events are in Dakota County this year, and so that's kind of sad. Hopefully we'll have a few next year as well. Usually the cities are in charge of that, but you can definitely go to any other pickup event in any other county and still get that discount code. The only exception is the year-round pickup at the Environmental Center in Washington County. The other thing we're looking at, and I'm getting approval for this hopefully tomorrow, Eureka Recycling is clearing out their storage, and they used to sell a certain kind of compost bin called the Earth Machine, and they have a bunch, over 100 different compost bins they're trying to get rid of and sell for really cheap. So we're hoping to buy kind of a bulk amount of those compost bins, and then have be able to sell them to residents. And hopefully we'll be selling them at the visitor center at Lebanon Hills. That's my plan. And then at 2 different composting 101 talks where you can come learn about it and then buy a compost bin. So I'll be sending information about that. And with that is the upcoming presentations. That other bullet. What you can help me do to get the word out about composting, you can staff a booth at any upcoming event. There are some opportunities coming up. You can give a presentation. We've had master recyclers give presentations before. I have that, what I call my canned presentation, where I have what's called the lazy guide to composting. And it's an hour or less presentation. And every slide has exactly what you need to go over for that slide. And work in your neighborhood. So either this can be for the organics drop-off site too, if you want to carpool your organics to a drop site, but also if you want to just help your neighbors compost, you can actually use that as hours, where if you're helping someone set up their compost bin, going over what to put in, helping them in any way, then you can use that as hours. So definitely don't forget about that. And with that, we are done. And any questions that anyone has right now? You're so quiet. Okay.
Thanks for the information. This was really good.
Great. Thank you, everybody. And it's recorded, so we'll share it too.
Okay, have a good evening.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody. I'm ending now.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jenny. We really enjoyed this.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.